who are you? Like, it's the first time that people are seeing the face, right? Have you ever shown your face over social media?
Yeah, yeah. It was back in my earlier days on Instagram. Yeah, when I was in my first initial growth spurt. I
So
did.
in 2017?
Well, 2017. That was my very first entry onto Instagram, and I had just discovered virtual photography. Of course, like everyone else, I thought it was this brand new thing that only I figured out. There's this thing, people, and it's called virtual photography, and I'm gonna show everyone what it is. We
Uh,
were all the same.
yeah, it's a common trend in all the origin stories that,
Hmm.
oh, this is new, I will be the one. And
Yeah.
then, yeah, it's not.
Then I found I like the first thing, my first thought was, okay, I've got to create a website, personal website. So I did that, and I built that for a couple of weeks, and then all of a sudden I stumbled across Instagram. Like, there's a massive
Yep.
community here. I'm just gonna do stuff on Instagram. And yeah, that was 2017, and it was me just doing little virtual tourism stuff. And yeah, but I didn't really start to grow until 2018 with Spider-Man.
Yeah, but nice segue. You basically segue into
Oh, but
my next question.
totally happy
So,
talking about the early stuff as well. So it's
so the very first game was Creed Origins.
officially, yeah, yeah. That's what really pulled me into virtual photography. Like that was the
Officially, what's the
officially.
non-officially official
Uh,
answer?
um, I actually was messing around with my PlayStation 3 just recently, and I went in and I found that I actually took some photos in Gran Turismo 5 back in 20,
Nice.
2010. That I was really into cars back then, and I had this photo mode, and I'm like, I like this car. I'm gonna take a photo of it. So I did it. I'm like, that's really cool, but it takes a lot of time. It's kind of a chore. I'd rather just play games. So I didn't really take photos again until
That
2017.
changed.
Yeah, yeah, that changed. That changed, and that was all because I went on my honeymoon. We went to Italy, and I was just taking pictures of everything there because you can't find a bad angle in Italy. So
No,
right, I
it
just
was my last trip before COVID,
there
and
you go. Yeah, if
yeah,
that's going to be your last trip, yeah, that's the one to do. So I was just taking pictures of everything, and I kind of got the bug of taking pictures there. And I mean, I
really,
went to film school, so all composition, all visual communication, all that it's within my training. But just the actual passion of taking photos, I never really had that. And then I went to Italy, and I guess I was transformed. And when I came back, I was playing this new game, Assassin's Creed Origins, and I thought, like, this actually, the world that they built, this Egypt, this
yeah.
virtual Egypt is so beautiful, so immersive, so realistic. I mean, I'm walking through the villages, and I felt like when I was walking through Italy, just taking in the sights. And then all of a sudden I realized, wait, it's got photo mode. Wait, but photo mode is that thing that I never did because I was busy playing games. Well, let me try. So I just started snapping like virtual tourist shots of Egypt, and oh boy, that was it. That was it. It was done. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh, I can take virtual shots of Gotham City, or what was I doing? Uncharted
Uncharted
4,
4. Yeah.
Super Mario
And then
Odyssey,
Super Mario Odyssey. Yeah.
Super Mario.
I
Yeah,
basically scrolled to the very beginning of your Instagram, and it's very
way back for days and days and days.
you post. I thought I post a lot, but you go back. You might have one of the oldest Instagram accounts. I will need to check that. But yeah, your Instagram account is old, and you have like posts from Bound,
Yeah,
from
yeah,
Uncharted 4,
yeah.
from Assassin's Creed, like games that nowadays we don't see you post that much.
No.
You basically, like you said, found a calling in 2018 with Spider-Man, right?
Yeah, yeah, basically. Um, I
Why
wouldn't say
Spider-Man?
I don't consider myself fully a Spidey account, even though I think most people would. Um, Spider-Man, I mean, what can I say? I mean, I've been obsessed with superheroes my whole life, and I grew up with comic books and watching all the movies and the shows. It's like it's ingrained in my very being, and so photography was this new thing, and games are equally my other obsession, going back as far as I can remember. And all of a sudden, there was this. I found this intersection of photography, video games, superheroes, and then all of a sudden it just clicked. Because at first, when I was playing Spider-Man, I was still doing the virtual tourist thing. I was taking photos of New York. I wasn't taking photos of Spidey.
Well,
Um,
you were taking photos of New York, so like that New York is like the best New York in gaming. Like
right, right,
complete, yeah. It's
yeah. That's
so well made.
I had just gone on a trip to New York. So I had taken photos in New York. So then I was trying to recreate those photos in the in
Oh,
Marvel's
that's
Spider-Man.
nice.
Yeah. So
I
that was just a fun
remember
little exercise.
I remember back when the game came out, someone put like a Spider-Man figure in front of like with the advanced suit in front of various landmarks in New York and took pictures, and
Hmm.
it looked like pictures from the game. It
Yeah.
was it was a very cool. I can't find it right now because it was like 3 years ago. Usually when people create their accounts, they go for the edgy name like dot pone, fire scorpio. Your name is so simple, like virtual photo, virtual photographer. So it's straight to the point.
Hmm.
Why didn't you go for why didn't you go with your name, and why create like this account with this name?
Well, I think coming from like where I work, my job, we think of things more from a branding perspective. But as soon as I say branding, it then sounds like very commercial and corporate. I don't. That's not what I mean. It's not. It's never been about me. And so I wanted to create just like a label or a name or a brand um, that I could post content as. And Virtua Photographer comes from, I mean, I don't know about all you youngins out there, but arcades. I mean, I grew up in arcades. That was where I spent all my time. If we went on a family trip, the first thing I wanted to do, it didn't matter what city we're in, I wanted to know where was the mall and where was the arcade, because that's where I wanted to go. So that's where I grew up. So I mean, I've got the gray hairs to prove it. This is not like the big mega GameWorks Dave and Buster's. No, no, no. This was back when arcades were small, like seedy, smoky places that they were kind of shady. And the dude that was sitting on the Street Fighter 2 machine, you're gonna put your quarter up and stand shoulder to shoulder with him. If you beat him, you don't know, is he gonna is he gonna look at you funny?
Playing
Like
time
the old
crisis
days.
with the
Yes.
gun instead of a
Yeah.
controller with the gun.
Yep,
Yeah.
with the gun. So, and back then, again, the earlier days of the arcades, like the pinnacle of arcade technology was Sega and their arcade games. So,
Yep.
Virtua Fighter was a big deal for me. That was the first time that I really experienced, like 3D real-time polygonal graphics. So you had Virtua Fighter, you had Virtua Racing, you had Virtua Cop, you had this whole series of Virtua games. And it was this 3D video game version of something, whether it's fighting, racing, or shooting bad guys. So I just thought, this is photography, so I'll just call it Virtua Photography.
It's
Virtua Photographer.
I ask this question to all the guests, and
Yep.
every single time the story blows my mind. It's that even something as simple as virtual photographer or photo has a story behind it. And I thought, I swear, I thought your answer was going to be, well, it was the first thing that I thought of. But no, that it's so, so cool.
No,
It's
no, no.
really cool.
Everything I do, yeah, I usually put a lot of thought into most of the stuff that I do.
That you mentioned your work two times now, and I wanted to talk to you about because recently, because of the Snyder cut of the Justice League, you posted a few like wallpaper shots that were uh, shared, and your caption is, "I don't usually tweet about my real life job, but if you're all at all interested, I suggest you tune in to this. That's all I can say for now." And
Yeah.
then it's about the one poster that it was released to promote the Snyder Cut, and you had those stills uh, up on your highlights still on Instagram, right?
Mm-hmm.
At
Mm-hmm.
least you shared them. I remember that. And then
Yeah.
you shared the trailer for the Snyder Cut. So stuck to share something from my real life job.
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? What do you do for a living that you get to work on something this cool?
Well, I work at a design house called U and Company, and I live in LA, Los Angeles, Burbank to be
Okay.
specific. But the design house is just down the 101 in Hollywood, um, and I've been there for a long time. And as a design house, we do a lot of work in film and television. So whether it's
Ooh.
motion graphics for film and television, or we'll do opening title sequences. That's part of our main claim to fame. Title sequences for movies and television shows. We do cool stuff like that, but then we also do, corporate commercials and less sexy, less juicy stuff. And then we're also moving more into experiential design, mixed reality, AR, VR, stuff like that. And yeah, it means that I get to
You
work on
have
a
a
lot of
really
cool
cool
stuff.
job.
Yeah, I mean, there's ups and downs, just like any other job,
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. But
So
no, no, I like it.
completely comprehend if you can't answer this. Other than the Snyder Cut, what would I recognize your work on?
Oh, well, I mean, like I said, we have a lot of good working relationships in the business. So, I mean, just lately we did the Snyder Cut just last week. We did a bunch of stuff for Godzilla versus Kong. Um, we do the opening title sequence for The Mandalorian. We did
What?
Yeah, stuff for Mulan. Like, yeah, we get to work on really cool stuff. And we pitch. So as a design house, you do a lot of work for studios, directors, networks, but in a lot of ways, it's kind of like acting. You have to audition, basically. You have to pitch. So there's a ton of work that we pitch on because all just like actors, you have to go on a lot of auditions to win a gig. So there's all kinds of stuff that we pitch on that we may not necessarily win. So yeah, like WandaVision, a bunch of Marvel movies we pitched on. So yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff that we have in house.
That's yeah. I
There's
know it
NDAs and
has.
stuff, but
I know it has its ups and downs, like any job, but that's super cool. Like I, you mentioned that you liked arcades, so sorry if I'm out of place, but you were probably a big nerd growing up,
oh
like
yeah,
me,
yeah,
like most of anyone that does VP nowadays.
yeah.
So getting to work with like a project with superheroes and characters, it must be a dream come true, or at
Yeah,
least a big
yeah,
goal.
yeah. I started just like most people in Los Angeles. You start as a receptionist or as a gopher, running for coffee or whatever, and you do that for a little while, and then maybe they'll bring you back and give you more stuff to do, more responsibilities. And this goes. I'm about to, really expose how long I've been there. I had just been pulled back into the design floor to help out with things. So I wasn't just answering phones. And we just started working on Resident Evil 5. And for
Ooh.
me, that was my moment at
The
UCO.
movie,
No, the game.
the
All
game.
the way,
Okay.
yeah, all the way back, Xbox 360, PlayStation 3, all the way back there. That was a turning point for me at the company because I'm the guy. I'm the video game guy in the company. I mean, so when I heard that Resident Evil 5 was in there, I didn't really have a close relationship with my boss back then, but
Everyone,
I just
I'm
walked
here.
in. Yeah, I walked into my boss's office and I'm like, "Hey, I heard Resident Evil 5 is in house right now, and I just want to let you know I played games all my life. I love Resident Evil. I'm obsessed with it, and I'd like to help out on it." And he's really cool. We have more of a tighter, close knit kind of team, so he's willing to have people contribute if they have some kind of knowledge or expertise on a subject. So I just dove right into Resident Evil 5. We were directing all the game cinematics, so like all the movie cutscenes in the game, we were directing and creating all those. So I was working with the director, and I was helping rewrite the scripts, because a big part of the job was we had to help with the localization, because the scripts that came in from Japan were so bad.
Please tell me that you. So they translated there,
Yeah.
and okay.
And then they sent it to us. So one of the reasons, like most of the cinematics back then were handled in-house, in Japan. And for Resident Evil 5, they came to us and another company we were partnered with because they wanted a more Hollywood feel to it, a more Western Hollywood feel to
Yeah.
it. And part of it was the fact that previous games were being directed by, Japanese directors directing, you know, characters speaking dialogue in a language that they're not really native in. So the script localization was bad. We all make fun of, Resident Evil, like Jill, that was a Jill sandwich, and the Master of Unlocking and all. So they wanted to kind of get away from that. So we had to take their translated scripts and then rewrite them as more of a native English speaking Western Hollywood perspective. So that's that's what I was doing with the director, and we were thumbnailing scenes out, and yeah, we shot that on green screen with costumes, and then we reshot it all in the mocap stage. It was a good time. Yeah. I
That sounds like a good time.
yeah,
Like for quote unquote a first game. That sounds amazing.
yeah, yeah. I was lucky. I guess I was in the right place, and I
How
threw my hat
how
in.
does your work, but because I imagine it does, w- helps with your VP? Like I imagine it does because your shots, and I try to not talk that much or compliment that much, but your shots are pretty unique. Like we know we are looking at a virtual photographer shot because they are vibrant, because they pop. They usually have eye action. You have a few dozen of shots that it could be like a variant cover of Spider-Man. It could be like a steelbook cage, steelbook,
Oh
not
yeah,
cage,
yeah,
but a
yeah. Cover,
steelbook
steelbook cover. Yeah,
cover.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
my Portuguese isn't helping here. Sorry, but it could be a steelbook or a variant cover for a bookcase. Does your work help with that? Is it all from for you from your background in film school?
I think it's a combination of things. A lot of it. So I think the style, like we all end up crafting and shaping our own style. And like I can go back through my Instagram timeline and like track the changes in the evolution of what I like to create. Um, but what I really have kind of grown into is a certain style that I really like, and I can track it back to a couple of things. Primarily, it's comic book art. Primarily, comic book covers Like my main inspirations would be something like Alex Ross. I know this is supposed to be virtual photography and there's so much amazing photography on there, especially on Instagram, but you know, I'm not following photographers on my Instagram. I'm following comic artists and graphic designers and stuff like that. So I always go for a more, I like to call it a CG illustrative look rather than a photographic look. Um, and
Hmm.
a lot of that comes from comic book art. A lot of it comes from just playing games. I remember originally I was just what I was trying to do as far as like the vibrancy and the making it pop. What I was trying to do is I was simply trying to recreate what I was experiencing on my TV with HDR. You know, like just like
Yeah.
the brightness value, just how things, like you said, pop. It really pops, and that is what I was always trying to recreate. And so that comes from the video game side of it, and then just composition, you know, dynamic, you know, composition and like golden rule, all that, you know, photography 101 stuff that comes from school. And so what do I get from work? Well, every day I'm working side by side with like really top tier, like world class artists. Like these people are legit, you know, they get paid to do things
Yeah.
for very serious people, for very serious clients, for very big projects. And so every day I'm working with them. So I'm constantly being inspired, you know, by the work that they do. So I wouldn't say that their style has affected me, but I'd say probably more their aesthetic, and and their, not their aesthetic, their mindset, their attention to their craft.
Yeah. I
Yeah,
get that.
and
Yeah.
the attention to detail. You know, my boss is very very specific. You know, and things have to be perfect, or he doesn't want to put his company's name on it. So I feel very similarly about what I post. I try to go for the quality over quantity. I try to make sure that every post I do has a reason for existing. And I try, it can be hard, you know, because oftentimes it's just more Spider-Man. It can be hard, but I try to make each post unique. I look for different poses. I don't try and use the same keyframes, which again, it's hard to do because we all have our favorite poses. But I try to have a reason for the
I
post.
usually go for the opposite. I like that pose. Let's use it, use it, use it.
Oh,
Like
but one thing I
it's
like about what you do is like you'll still have a theme or a reason. Like you'll have like the advanced ones, and there'll be a theme for your set where it's all the advanced suits, or these are the ones that Peter made, like the homemade ones. You have a theme for your posts, which I like.
yeah, I I go for more of a storytelling. I try to combine, not because while I'm shooting, I'm thinking about the four posts that I will make on Instagram,
Hmm.
on Twitter.
Yep.
So every single time that I take a shot, I think, okay, now I have to take three more that will fit this one shot, or
Yep.
this one fits with the other three that I took like 3 days ago. It's stressful, but I go for the storytelling. But I
Hmm.
get what you're saying, that the poses and the keyframes, you usually don't use the same ones. And scrolling through your gallery, it's impressive because that's something that I haven't noticed until you just said it. And I was scrolling, and yeah, it just clicked. You said something that caught my attention, because I'm the opposite. You said there is a lot of good work, especially on Instagram and not Twitter. Why? Because you are more active on Instagram than Twitter. Why that choice?
Wait. Oh, I think I think because I've spent more time on Instagram, and Instagram, in my layman's opinion, seems to be a little more weighted towards photography. Like there's a lot of huge photography accounts on Instagram. So when I was, yeah, just meaning like I'm not really following the photography accounts on Instagram. That's all I meant. I honestly I prefer Twitter now. Now that I've, you know, thanks to you and Fire Scorpio, people that have encouraged me to check out Twitter. Because for the longest time, why did I go to Instagram? Well, Instagram seemed like the place that you go to post pictures. Well, why
Yeah.
didn't I check out Twitter? Because compared to Instagram, Twitter just seemed like a whole nother large beast with a lot of stuff going on, and it just seemed a little crazy. But then, you know, eventually I started to check it out, and you know, again, friends telling me I should try it, so I did, and it's like starting over. You know,
Yeah.
you kind of you start small, and you see what happens, and you start to grow, and I like the interaction in Twitter. I think I think it was Hoffman who was saying that Instagram is more like people are interacting with your post, and Twitter is more like you're interacting with each other.
Yep.
And
It
I get
was
that
him.
feeling. Yeah, I get that
Yeah.
feeling. I get that feeling. I like it. Um, it was good timing for me because I started to get noticed a little more on Twitter with Avengers, and then obviously with Spider-Man, like when Miles Morales came out. And it happened to come at a time where I wasn't as busy at work, like during the lockdown and the pandemic. That the back half of 2020
Yeah.
was kind of slow, so I had a lot more time. So it was perfect because I was able to interact and like do a lot more on Twitter. And you know, I kind of have to apologize to people. Like with the new year, I've just been so busy that my 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 like communication with people and my engagement on both Instagram and Twitter have really, but
Yeah. Back on
busy.
the last days, I think, of last
Mhm.
year, I told you that you should do a Flickr account. And everyone that I tell to create a Flickr account to have their galleries, they say they will do it, but they don't. But you actually said why, and I found that fascinating. You said that you like to reply to everyone that comments and on your posts, and with Instagram and Twitter you are already have your hands full. That's the nicest reason I could ever possibly imagine. Like you and I notice that you do that with the post that you did a few weeks after that, that completely blew up. It's the post that I know from VP on Twitter with the largest amount of reach. The amazing suit of Spider-Man. Like it had like
Mm.
11K, 10K. You had more likes than the retweet from Insomniac. Like it was
Really?
crazy. Like
Oh,
and your account, your follower number blew up in like 2 days. You got 2K followers. It was
it was a
it was
lot.
a real. It was really really nice to see. I follow that really closely because I was loving it. And you replied to everyone. Like
Yeah, I see it as a responsibility.
how?
If someone likes something that you posted, if someone, you know, is taking time to, you know, not just like and move on, but they're actually commenting. They're telling you like how much they like something. Why am I too cool to respond? I'm like, why wouldn't I? Of course. Like if someone, you know, says something cool to me, I want to acknowledge that, and I'm thankful for it, you know.
Well, there is a difference of being too cool to respond and being too busy. Like it took you a long time to reply to everyone on a post that has, I'm scrolling down because I have to, I will put this post on the editing. So
Oh my God, you're pulling up receipts.
yeah, but you had so many people commenting. I will get there. I think I'm close by. Oh, another okay, so this post has at this moment more than 11K likes. It has 234 quote retweet. So wow. And it has 223 comments, and you reply to every single one of them. Like, it must have took you so long to reply to everyone. I admire you
Dude.
so much. Like, I work on I studied communication, so I proud myself of trying to answer to everyone, but I thought it was impossible until I saw you. The way you do it, it's impressive. Like, congrats, man. Like, I think if I had a hat, I would take it off because wow.
Thanks. Thanks. I mean, like I said, I feel like it's a responsibility, and that's why in the past few months I'm not on it online as much, so things fall through the cracks. I'll log on to Instagram when I get a chance, and I'll see that someone mentioned me in a share. But since the 24 hours pass, I can't see it
Yeah.
anymore. And it's like, and I'll feel bad. So I'm like, I'm
Actually, they were
sorry.
insulting you, and you just say thanks.
Maybe, yeah, yeah. That's okay. I
Yeah,
so yeah, that's what I like to do.
but it we are closing. Yeah, we are. No, we have more. We have 15 minutes more, and most people have like side projects. Like, I have this YouTube. Some people have blogs, websites, and you mentioned in the start that you were creating a website, but you gave up on that idea.
Yeah.
Do you have something in the future that you would like to work on with your VP?
I mean, I'm open to suggestions. I think it would probably collaborating with cool people would be, I'd find that interesting. As far as some kind of additional vehicle for me, I'm not. I just don't exactly have the bandwidth. I get a lot. I get of people saying that, oh, you need to post tutorials on YouTube. You need to do videos. You need to show us how how you do your stuff. And it's like, I don't have really the time to create more content, especially video content with editing. I just bandwidth is an issue, especially now. Work is a lot busier and a lot of real life things going on. I'm gonna be a dad, so so
Congrats!
thank you. So and that's coming soon. So my time is gonna get even
Ooh,
smaller. But I always try and tell people that feel free to DM me or message me, because I'm always happy to give advice. And I think I prefer to give advice on more of a one-to-one basis, because then it's more like a
mhm.
conversation. So I'm not just posting some tutorial. I'm actually talking with the person and trying to, rather than getting showing rather than showing, how to do something and then they just repeat it. It's more like engaging with the person and trying to
Yeah,
see what they're trying to do and how can I help them, do what they're trying to do.
I get that.
It's a little different.
I tried to film a tutorial, and to me, at least, it seemed like, and this will sound so wrong. Like, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm the one that knows how this is done. No one else knows, and you have to see my video to learn how to do it. So I never posted that tutorial. I end up spending like one whole afternoon editing the tutorial, and I was
Hmm.
like, no, no, I won't post this because I don't feel like that great. I'm like you. I prefer someone to approach me. Oh, how do I do this?
Yeah.
Like, I posted a couple videos of how to take black backgrounds on Spider-Man
Yeah, I saw those were great, very
and
helpful.
on God of War because first, I'm not talking. Second, they are 30 seconds. So that's all because if I'm talking like you should use this exposure, it's I don't know. I think it might sound to some like I know what I'm doing more than they know what they are doing, and I don't want that. I
Yeah,
don't know
yeah.
if that makes sense at
No,
all.
no, no. It makes perfect sense to me. I agree because so much of it is personal style and your personal aesthetic.
That's it. Yeah.
Why am I going to tell someone how they should do something? I'd rather tell them how the tool works so that they can use the tool how they want to do it. Because you look at, I use very, very little depth of field on my shots. I mean, do you see a lot of depth of field and blurry backgrounds in comic book art? I mean, no, of
No.
course not. The Every single part of the image for me is is intentional. It's not
Info.
just about Spider-Man. The lines, the perspective, the building, the sky, all of it is very specific on my shot. So I don't want to blur any of it out. But then, I mean, look at someone like Hoffman, he has, beautiful depth of field on all of his stuff because that's his style. So if someone wants to do that, I'm not going to tell them don't use depth of field. Like, no, it's
Funny
my style.
enough, you two are the reason why I jumped to Instagram. Back when I jumped into Instagram, you weren't on Twitter.
Hmm.
And on my personal Instagram, I would scroll and like some VP shots, and I would see you too. And a little Fire Scorpion, not that much because I wasn't following him back then.
Hmm.
And I was like, okay, I need to jump in because there are cool photographers on Instagram that aren't on Twitter. Now everyone is jumping into Twitter because Twitter is awesome.
Yeah.
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I like Twitter. I like Twitter. The Instagram algorithm is, it's gross.
Right now, the algorithm is promoting people that do reels. So the way a social media works for most people is that they will promote in the algorithm people that use their new functions. So right
Mhm.
now, for example, Twitter will promote you more if you use flits, and that's the only reason why I use flits. Uh, and Twitter and Instagram right now is reels. Like I know this isn't a lot for you, but for me it is because I'm very, very small on Instagram. But I posted like three reels that took me like 10 seconds to make. Each one is just my shots in a slideshow. And I got 50 new followers, which is
Mhm.
a lot on my Instagram. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I don't like that about social media. Like
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
maybe I don't like your tool.
I found that it seems like you get what you put into it, and if you're going to use their platform and use all their widgets, use all their new products, and the algorithm is really going to start spinning hot for you, and
Yeah.
you're going to get a lot of growth, and that was a big part, I think, of my growth in 2018 with Spider-Man, because back then I was really trying to push it. I was engaging with people. I was showing my face. I was doing Ask Me Anythings. I was like hosting suit challenges, suit showdowns. Actually, that was actually really fun. Contests and competitions. I was posting videos, like everything I could to maximize my spread. And I went from 600 to 25K in what, 6 months? I mean, that's that's how the game is played. But I don't play it like that anymore. I don't have time.
Yeah.
It's like I take photos of games that I'm playing, and I will post them and share them. Ultimately, if I get a few people that say, I love your shot and I'm using it for my wallpaper on my phone, that's enough for me. Like
Yeah.
we all grew up putting video game posters or comic book posters on our bedroom wall. And now in this day and age, the equivalent for kids and people is what are they putting on their wallpaper on their phone? So if someone loves my shot enough to put it on their phone, that's that's all I need. That's awesome.
Yeah. That's like I couldn't ask for a better way to end this. Like it's exactly that. Thank you so much. So, last question: where can people find you, interact with you?
Well, you can find me on Instagram at Virtua Photographer. That's Virtua, no L, underscore photographer. Or you can find me on Twitter at Virtua Photo, Virtua underscore photo. And yeah, that's primarily where I'm at. I'm still looking to maybe build a Flickr when I have some time. I think I may compile all of my Spider-Man stuff when I finally finish the DLC. But
You
yeah,
should.
I'm
You
very
you
excited.
really really should.
Yeah.
And yep, that was it for the interview. Please like, subscribe, and click the bell that is somewhere over somewhere. Bye.
Thanks for having me, Pone.